Good morning, everybody, and welcome to RTF Sports Talk. On today's topic, we're going to talk about Duke, if they are the favorite to win it all after their Canadian tour. Who is the biggest NFL bust of all time? Week 3 preview of the preseason NFL is coming up as well, and also who is the bigger pressure to win this season, Big Ben or Aaron Rodgers? All that and more after this preview.
If you came to prove, there's no reason to prove.
RTF Sports Talk. RTF Sports Talk. RTF Sports Talk. RTF Sports Talk.
And now you've got yourself something funky.
RTF Sports Talk. RTF Sports Talk. RTF Sports Talk. RTF Sports Talk. RTF Sports Talk.
All right, and welcome to RTF Sports Talk. I'm your host, Michael Buckheiser, and I'm here joined today with Billy Hatton. Billy, how you doing today?
I'm doing all right, man. Good day to talk some sports, as always.
It's always a good day to talk some sports, and let's just go ahead and jump right into it. The Duke Blue Devils just wrapped up their Canadian little tour they had going on up in Canada. They finished on the 19th, and they finished 3-0, pretty much dominating all of the Canadian teams. Zion Williams finished with 36 points in the final game, and Barrett added 23 to his total up there as well. So, Billy, the question arises: is Duke for real? Are they the team to beat this year?
This question is kind of bittersweet for me because I am a Duke fan. As I stated a couple weeks ago, whenever we did the show, when we were talking about the Kentucky team, and I was saying, or we were talking about Tennessee, and I was like, just because you have the best players don't always equate to wins. I think that's kind of true here as well, especially knowing Duke history. Duke will find a way to lose to somebody that they shouldn't lose to. But the way that these guys look, I mean, Zion Williamson, I mean, he's a stat stuffer. I mean, he plays defense, he rebounds, he assists the ball, of course. He's a natural scorer. RJ Barrett, I mean, like you say, he had 23, and then he added 10 assists on top of that. They still have Cam Reddish, which was their other top freshman. He's been hurt so far, so hopefully we'll be able to get him back. He was the number 3 recruit in the nation. And then they still have Trey Jones, who was also the number 10 recruit in the nation. As of right now, the way they look, to me, they seem like they can run the table, and that doesn't mean undefeated, but it looked like that they can get to another Final Four and win another NCAA tournament for Coach K. But injuries could play a part in that. But as of right now, I mean, these guys look totally unstoppable. They still have Marquise Bolden from last year. We did lose all 5 of our starters, so that's going to be that transition period whenever they start playing good teams, such as like the Kentuckys and the Michigan States and the Virginias, teams of that nature. But right now, man, I'm happy with what I see. The freshmen aren't really playing like freshmen, which that normally never happens in basketball nowadays with all the AAU. These guys are used to, the spotlight and doing all that other stuff. But right now, Duke seems to be unstoppable.
So the real question is, do you think the freshmen are going to hit that quote-unquote freshman wall come about January, February time, and do you think they'll have the mental mindset to overcome that?
That's what I'm most worried about, to be honest. I don't want to dance around the question, but that's really what I'm worried about. The rigors of a real college season. They was playing the guys in Canada, and those guys aren't as talented as the guys that they're going to see day in and day out
conference games,
throughout yeah, exactly. The ACC is starting to become, well, not starting to become, but the ACC starting to get more teams, that's getting up there. Florida State is now starting to make a little push. They did get Notre Dame in their conference a few years ago. So, and then Duke always in basketball, they always play tough out of conference schedules. So that's the one thing that I'm more worried about. When will we see them look like freshmen? Because right now in these past 3 games, none of those guys look like freshmen. They look like they've been there for 3 or 4 years already.
Yeah, and do you think that comes from the AAU circuit, or just was the Canadian tour just that weak?
To me, I think it's a combination of both, but I would say probably 80-20 AAU and then 20% through the Canada. These guys play basketball year-round nowadays. I remember when I was going to school, it wasn't quite like that, but nowadays, these guys eat, sleep, and breathe basketball year-round, 12 months out the year. It's constant basketball. So it's getting them, and they're constantly playing, the top recruits from this school, from this state to this state. So I think, the AAU has really prepared a lot of these guys, to come into college and be ready to play. Unlike kind of like football, where mostly you just go through 7-on-7 with no pads. These guys are actually playing how they would play, in a normal game against some of the top athletes or some of the top prospects. So I think AAU really has had a big impact on, the so-called freshmen when they come in, because these guys aren't looking like freshmen.
Right. So let me ask you this. You kind of alluded to them playing basketball all year around. So do you think the Duke freshmen are really going to hit that wall if they're so used to playing basketball all year around?
I'm not sure they'll hit the wall of being tired, but because I do believe Duke has a good conditioning program. Obviously, these top college programs, they got the best training staff.
Top notch.
I don't think they'll hit that wall, but I think there's going to be games where these guys are used to getting their way. These guys are used to scoring at will, and I don't think that's going to be like that all the time. So to me, it's going to be how they respond in adversity when they're at North Carolina and the crowd is going crazy.
Gotcha. How
are they going to respond to that? Because they never had to deal with something like that before. So not really the conditioning, but it's more the mental aspect of the game, where I think that maybe these guys will look like freshmen later down through the season.
And so just to bring this up, like I brought this question up strictly just for you, since you are a Blue Devils fan here. Is this year a championship or bust, or like if you guys don't win a championship, is it kind of a failed season?
To me, Mike, you already know how I feel about that. I think it's definitely championship or bust, especially once you get in the tournament, because at that point all bets are off now. You made it through the regular season, you win the tournament, you have the number 1, 2, 3, and the number 10 high school prospects on your team.
Plus
that
Coach
should
K.
That should equate wins. Plus Coach K, who's a legend.
Olympic champion, etc.
Yeah, so that to me is championship or bust once you make it to the tournament. It's championship or bust whether or not they make it to the tournament or not. You have 4 of the best high school players on your team. There's no reason why any team should be close to you. And so to me, it's championship or bust.
And I'd have to agree with you on that one. Speaking of bust, NFL bust seem to be happening year in and year out every year. Who, in your opinion, is the biggest NFL draft bust of all time?
Yeah, this question, man, I think I could have went so many different ways on this. But I went a non-quarterback, and I went with Trent Richardson. And I only went Trent because, I could have went Jamarcus. I could have went Ryan Leaf. I could have went Johnny Manziel. I could have went, Matt Jones, the thousands of, But Trent Richardson, I watched this guy in high school. I'm from Tallahassee, and Trent Richardson played right down in Pensacola, which is only about an hour and a half, 2 hours away from where I'm at. And I watched him in the Under Armour All-American game. He played in the Under Armour All-American game with my brother down in Orlando, and this guy is massive. This guy was one of the most skilled running backs that I've seen, you know, with my eye, you know. And then he goes to Alabama and he tears it up. And honestly, he was probably better than Mark Ingram, but Mark Ingram was already there, you know. So of course he waited his turn, and he gets to the Cleveland Browns, and he only have in 2 seasons, just 1,000 yards and 10 or 11 touchdowns. And then he goes to the Colts, and you'll think that he should be doing better. You know, he had Andrew Luck there, and it seemed like he just hits the wall. So to me, I think Trent Richardson, as far as non-quarterbacks, I think Trent Richardson definitely fits that bill. You know, 62 yards per game. I mean, I can probably get out there and get 62 yards per game.
Yeah,
you know, 3.3 yards per carry. That's pathetic.
Yeah.
That's absolutely pathetic. So I think Trent Richardson, to me, probably one of the biggest draft busts of all time.
So I was kind of thinking about this as well, but I mean, every time I think of bust, like Leaf always comes first to my mind, like Ryan Leaf. I mean, like it just because, you know, he was a number 1 overall pick, and he had such he had that complete meltdown. And then the drugs situation and the multiple arrests, yada, yada, yada. But if we're going non-quarterback, I'm going to have to go with the Boz from, I believe he went to Oklahoma.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I mean, there's like, he had all the hype in the world coming out of Oklahoma saying he is the next best thing. He's the next thing. And I want to say he is a bust simply because of all the hype that he brought to himself. I mean, he was a good, mediocre linebacker for what I believe he played 5 or 6 years, if I'm not mistaken. But he was never that perennial all-star that like he sought out to be.
They even had a 30 for 30 for him.
Yeah. I mean, and which was actually really good. 30 for 30s
Yeah,
are always
yeah,
done
actually
really
watched it
well.
pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how they do that, but they are always really, really good. But I'm gonna have to go with the Boz on that as far as being the biggest bust.
That's actually a good pick too. I had wrote down Jamarcus Russell as well.
Yeah.
The reason why I didn't go Ryan Leaf, because I'm a little young for Ryan Leaf. I was what Ryan Leaf was in the 2000 draft.
Yeah,
I was only like 9. Yeah, I was like 9 years old then.
Same
so
here, yeah.
Understanding football at that time was different for me just watching it. So, you know, that's why I went Trent. I could have went Jamarcus Russell, 18 touchdowns, 23 interceptions, 22 fumbles. I mean, that's pathetic. But the reason why I didn't go Jamarcus Russell or a quarterback, because a lot of these quarterbacks that they say were busts, I just never believed in college anyways. I watched Jamarcus Russell when he was in college, and to me, he wasn't that good. He was just a big, strong quarterback, you know, with a cannon. And he played in the SEC. It's really not that hard if you're even the least bit of good to play in the SEC
if
when
you're
you
an
can
average
throw the
player,
ball.
you'll be elite.
Yeah, because those defenses aren't built to stop quarterbacks that can throw the football. So, you know, in the SEC, it's not hard to be that. So that's why I went Trent Richardson, because he literally just dominated, you know, running over guys, running past guys, you know, juking guys. He did it all, and then he get to the NFL, and it seemed like he forgot how to play football, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
just a crazy disaster.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely would have to agree with you on that. But like, then we kind of come to the topic of like, what do we consider a bust? You know, like, I mean, because like, say you are a number 1, number 2, number 3 overall pick, and you aren't that all-star, you know, making 13 Pro Bowls, winning a Super Bowl, but you are a good, mediocre quarterback, such as like Alex Smith, for example, like a lot of people think of Alex Smith as a bust because he was that number 1 overall pick to San Francisco, and he has just been a mediocre quarterback for, you know, 12 years now, I do believe. So I mean, like, many people consider him like a bust. Like, would you consider a player like that a bust?
I wouldn't consider a guy like that a bust, because to me, I think he came out of nowhere. I guess it's almost like calling Joe Flacco a bust, I guess, when nobody even really heard of him into the NFL. I think, you know, that word is just subject to, I guess, how much hype, the media puts on him. But for me, Alex Smith, I think he had a solid career. I mean, he had his first 6 or 7 seasons in San Francisco. He had a different offensive coordinator every single year.
Yeah.
You have to learn new schemes. So I think that also hindered his success because he's been pretty solid under Andy Reid. I mean, last year he had 22 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. Wasn't a terrible year, but it wasn't a blow me off the chart year either.
Right.
So no, I wouldn't consider a guy like Alex Smith as a bust. I would just consider he is what he is. That's who he is as a player. And to be in the league for 10 to 12 years, I mean that's a pretty good NFL career. Being the lifespan of an NFL player is 4 years or something like that.
Yeah,
so I think
believe we talked about that.
he's kind of seated. Yeah, I think he's kind of seated. Who he is, not the number one pick, but it's seated who he is as a player.
Well, speaking of picks in the drafts here, Green Bay Packers and Pittsburgh Steelers played last week in Week 2 of the preseason in the NFL, and I believe both Green Bay and Steelers are both tied for third in odds to win the Super Bowl. But the question arises: who has more pressure to win this season? Is it Aaron Rodgers or Big Ben?
I think it's Aaron Rodgers. And I say Aaron Rodgers only because I think Big Ben has solidified his career right now. He has 2 Super Bowl wins. And Aaron Rodgers is supposed to be the greatest quarterback to ever live, to ever touch a football. So at least that's what I hear all the time.
Yep.
He has a 9-7 playoff record. Last I checked, that's not good. That's not good at all. The one thing that stopped Peyton Manning from being considered as the GOAT was his playoff record. We always knew what he could do in the regular season, but it was playoff time where his numbers fell a little bit short. So it's the same thing for Aaron Rodgers. He's either hurt or he's getting bounced. So I think Aaron Rodgers has the most pressure this season, especially coming off an injury. His time is nearing what he's 34. Obviously Brady is 41. He's still playing, but Brady hasn't had the amount of injuries as Aaron Rodgers. So I think he knows his time is ticking. And I think it's go time for him right now. His last Super Bowl win was in 2010, and he's been 7-6, I believe, or 6-7 since that. That's an under 500 record since winning the Super Bowl. So, I think Aaron Rodgers definitely is in go mode. I think he's definitely the one who needs to win this season because Big Ben is who he is. I think most people are saying right now Big Ben has a solid career. I think we still wanted more for Aaron Rodgers, especially with all the hype that's surrounding Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, so I'm going to have to go the exact opposite way of this. I think it's Big Ben's time. Like, he has the most pressure just because of the weapons that he has around him. He has Antonio Brown. He has Bell. He has Juju Smith. He has all these weapons that circle him, that there should be no reason why he is not in the Super Bowl this year. Aaron Rodgers has 3 rookie wide receivers that he has to mold into these caliber players of Jordy that he had, in years past. And I can't even think of the other receivers off the top of my head right now. But
yeah, he still has Randall Cobb and Adam, and then they added Jimmy Graham. So I mean, that should help.
Yeah, but he still has those 3 brand new receivers that he has to mold into championship caliber receivers. So as far as pressure to win this season, I don't think Aaron Rodgers really truly has that, because the expectations of the team is not there. Now, of course, the fans would say Super Bowl or bust, yada yada yada, but let's look at it from a step back. The Steelers have all these weapons: Antonio Brown, Juju Smith, Bell, countless.
I can't remember the tight end right now.
Yeah, but countless other guys that Big Ben only has to perform at a 70% level to be successful, and Aaron Rodgers has to perform at a 100% level to be successful. So there's definitely got to be more pressure on Ben Roethlisberger this season.
I only went I only went with Aaron Rodgers just because I think for the most part we both agree. I believe that Aaron Rodgers is the better quarterback. And then I think of people say that he's better than Brady. Well, Brady do it every year with brand new receivers.
Right.
You know, he does it every single year in and year out. New players coming in every single year. And, you know, this year he's lost Edelman, he lost Amendola, Cooks, and guess what? We expect Brady to perform. That's the same way I feel about Aaron Rodgers. They're telling me this guy is the best quarterback in the NFL. He's the most talented quarterback that ever pick up a football. So if you're that talented, you still have two guys that you're familiar with, and Devontae Adams and Randall Cobb, who's been good NFL players, good NFL wide receivers. And then you add Jimmy Graham, who was at one point one of the top three tight ends in all of football before he went to the Seahawks, and they just killed his career almost. Yeah. So to me, and you're coming back off of an injury. So I really want to see what you're going to do. I really want to see this guy that they said is the best quarterback in NFL history, even though he's only won one Super Bowl. And I know this is a team game and everything is not on championships, but when you can't even get your team to the playoffs or you're getting bounced out one game in the playoffs, that doesn't equate to me that you're one of the best to ever do it, although he is, but it's not showing up in the stat sheet. It's not showing up as far as wins. You know, so to me, that's why I say Aaron Rodgers has the most pressure to win this season, because Big Ben and also the conference that he plays in. You know, Big Ben always has to go through the Patriots. The Steelers are always going to have to go through the Patriots. Every year, the NFC, you never know who you're going to get in coming out of that division. Nobody really expected the Eagles to do it this year. So every single year is somebody different, like a revolving door. But every year, you know, the Patriots are going to be there. And so to me, Aaron Rodgers, you have to win this season, you know, or I won't call it a fail, but you have to win this season because people are saying that you're the best. You're better than Brady. I want to see it. I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, so let me ask you these three questions to follow up on this topic. What would be considered a successful season for the Green Bay Packers this year?
I think nothing less than at least a conference championship. At least making it there. You know, because he is coming off a shoulder injury. Yeah, playing in the NFC Championship game to me is at least a start in the right direction, because that at least tells me that you're probably going to win at least 1 to 2 games. At least you're not playing one game and you're bounced out of the playoffs. And he's coming off an injury, and he does have new weapons, like you stated. It's not easy playing with guys that you haven't, you know, played with, where you don't know, okay, when he's supposed to break in, I'm already throwing the ball, you know. So I get the new aspect of having new receivers. So I think at least a conference championship, playing in the NFC Championship game, is at least a start for Aaron Rodgers this year.
Now the same question about the Steelers. What would be considered a successful season for the Steelers? I think
a successful season for the Steelers, I think they have to make it to the Super Bowl. Just for the reasons that you stated, the weapons that they do have Le'Veon Bell, who I consider one of the top 3 backs, probably the best back in the league. It's between him and Zeke, honestly. And then they have Antonio Brown, who's a top 2 receiver in the NFL. And then obviously you have Big Ben there. So just for them, just because of the talent they have, I think that Super Bowl is where they should be. And I know that kind of contradicts what I'm saying. But I was getting ready to say that. Yeah, but as a team, that's the goal that I'm saying that they have to meet. For Aaron Rodgers, you know, the other question was who has the most pressure. I think pressure goes to Aaron Rodgers because he has the most to prove. I think as a team, the Pittsburgh Steelers have more to prove.
So who would you have your Super Bowl pick between the Packers and the Steelers? Who, if you had to pick one, who would you pick?
I would go the Pittsburgh Steelers. I just don't think, you know, Green Bay's defense is up to snuff. You know, they still have Mike Daniels and Clay Matthews and those guys, but Clinton Dix. But I just don't think those guys are ready on the defensive side. which is the reason why, I said conference championship for the Packers, because, I just don't see their defense stepping up and being good this year.
Yeah, their defense has been horrible the last couple years. I believe they've been in the bottom third or even the bottom quarter of the NFL.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, their pass defense is putrid. Last year they was playing with third and fourth string cornerbacks out there. It's really pathetic. So that's why, I said the more pressure on the team is for the Steelers, but player-wise, I think Aaron Rodgers is feeling the heat.
Okay, and I think you may have swayed my opinion on that, just a little. But moving on here. So third week of the preseason, NFL preseason starts. Believe it's tomorrow night, maybe Thursday.
Thursday night.
Thursday night, but either way,
the Eagles and the Browns have that first game.
Yeah, these week 3 games are usually the dress rehearsal games. These are the games that the starter are. They'll play into the second half usually. What are you looking for most out of week 3, out of your teams?
This one is tough because it is preseason, and you know how I feel about preseason. I'm not really a fan, but if I would have to choose one, I would definitely say probably the Jets and the Giants, and only for the reason of Saquon Barkley. He's the number 2 pick in the draft. I don't think that he was honestly worth the number 2 pick in the draft.
I believe he's still hurt, so he may not be playing. He has a strained hamstring.
That is true. Correct. And then on the other side, you have the Jets. Todd Bowles, I don't think he really knows what he want to do at quarterback. I'm hearing that they may want to trade Teddy Bridgewater to get some draft picks. So that will probably leave Josh McCown and Sam Darnold. So what are they going to do with Sam Darnold? What are they going to do with Josh McCown? What are they going to do with Teddy Bridgewater? Teddy Bridgewater has looked pretty good this preseason. To me, I think so. To me, that's the game that I'm willing to see. I think the Giants' defense is top notch. So let's see what those quarterbacks can do against that defense. But the preseason is the preseason, and I'm just ready for the regular season.
So, I know your thoughts on the preseason, but let's let the viewers know about your real thoughts about the preseason here. Just go ham on them.
To me, man, I think the preseason is like rookie mode. It's like JV mode. It really doesn't equate to anything. I mean, you got first round picks, first round quarterbacks picked in the top 10. Most of the time, they're playing against third team defenses, guys who's not even going to be on the roster come opening day. So what does that show you? It doesn't really show you anything when you're going against guys who are not the best. The only way that you can see if a guy is really good is when they start going against the best. How many times have we seen in preseason where guys just looked amazing against the third team, the practice squad, the guys who's going to be on the practice squad, and then come game time when they get another start, they look like they never played football before. So that's to me, it's just almost like the summer league. Like, what good does that do? Lonzo Ball was the summer league MVP last year, and then what happens when he get in the regular game against the real players? He shoot 20-some% from 3, another 30 or something from the free throw line. It's terrible. So I think the preseason is a waste of time, and you get guys hurt who you're gonna need later on down the line and for a meaningless game. And I guess it's not meaningless to the guys that's fighting for their roster spots, and all that. But to the viewer, preseason means nothing to us. Yeah, to us it means nothing because most of the time you're gone by halftime because the starters are already out after the first series. The top-notch players, some of them, they don't even play. They don't even dress up. So what are we really watching? We're watching guys compete for backup spots or compete for roster spots. It literally makes no sense to me.
Game.
That's basically what it is, an all-star college game. Mm-hmm. Like, if that's the case, just have one of those just like you said. That's just like the Under Armour All-American game or the Army All-American game for high school. Let's just have one of those because that's basically what it is. You've seen them play against these guys all year.
Yeah.
Why do we need a preseason?
Well, I can't answer that question, but I can tell you that I agree with you 100% on this preseason. Like every time I open up my phone after taking a nap or like a little lock or something, there seems to be 3 or 4 more other key players that are getting injured. Like Zach Martin from the Cowboys suffered a sprained ankle or something like that too.
Yeah, I was watching NFL Live yesterday and seeing that. Yeah,
it's
AJ McCarron collarbone.
Yeah, and then Saquon Barkley a strained hamstring. You know, it's just injury after injury after injury. But
the Redskins has lost 2 running backs already. They just had to sign Adrian Peterson because they don't lost 2 running backs.
Yeah, I saw that as well. So. But nonetheless, I believe season's here in about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yes, sir.
Can't wait.
College football coming in 2 weeks, Labor Day. I'm ready to go.
Man, I think we're all ready to go, and we will talk about this more on Thursday's show here, guys. So thanks for joining in today. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Billy, where can people find your podcast at?
The Unpopular Opinion Podcast can be found on Anchor Podcast, and they can be found on Spotify, iTunes, Radio Public, Stitcher, Beaker, wherever you can, Google Play, wherever you can find your iTunes, wherever you can find your podcast. I normally do it Monday through Friday, 12 noon Mountain Standard Time, so that's 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, come out and check me out, man.
If you guys haven't checked him out yet, what are you doing with your lives? You need to check this out and give this guy a rating of 5 stars. Follow it, share it. I mean, do everything you can. Help spread the word. This guy puts on a great podcast. But Billy, as always, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you on Thursday.
I appreciate it, Mike.
Yeah, have a good night, man.